good. Next item is public participation. In accordance with resolution number 32-13, a 3-minute limitation will be imposed unless otherwise granted by the City Commission. This is your opportunity to address to the City Commission any topic desired.
Okay. Yeah, we will take.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and go through this process, and then if y'all need a break, I'll give you a 5-minute break. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor Hathaway and Commissioners. My name is John Ferguson, 149 South Ridgewood Avenue. I'm a corporate attorney at the law firm of Cobb Cole. I have the pleasure of working with my partner Mark Watts and Mark Purnell. And as Mark has disclosed to you guys, he is unavailable. Mark Watts is unavailable to be here today on a family issue out of the country. He sent you a letter previously, and I would like to read that letter. If anyone needs copies of that or the amendment attached, I have copies as well. I am writing to request your consideration of the attached Second Amendment to the Coronado Island Marine Village Purchase and Development Agreement to extend the current closing deadline until July 1, 2018. I will be out of the country attending to a family matter that night of your June 12th meeting and am unable to present a more detailed amendment proposal that attempts to respond to some of the issues that were raised at the May 22nd Commission meeting. If the attached amendment is approved, I would like to present a more detailed amendment for your consideration at the June 26th meeting. I appreciate your courtesy and consideration. Along with that letter was the amendment, with the only change being that the closing date would be extended to July 1st. As you recall, at the last meeting, the motion to extend the closing date to July 1st failed when there were only 3 commissioners at that meeting. This is a very important project for the city. And to have it fail because less than a majority of the commission voted against it, I think is a disservice to the city. This request tonight is not about substance. It's not about whether you approve the project or disapprove the project like this or like that. This is about giving yourselves and giving the city the opportunity to hear a project that might meet all of your needs and all of your wishes. Now, Mark Watts is going to present a proposal which we hope does exactly that. However, unless one of you makes a motion to approve the Second Amendment that was passed, and unless 3 of you vote in favor of it, you and the city will never have that opportunity. So the request tonight is to approve the Second Amendment, let the substance be spoken at the June 26th meeting, and at that point in time, you can do what's in the best interest of the city.
What's the commission's position on want to act on this request or this by Mr. Ferguson? Is there any motion by the commission to act on this request? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the commission?
Steve Provost, 1805 Beacon Street. I wasn't planning on talking about this tonight because it wasn't on the agenda, but I told you last time when I was here that I had reviewed some recent information given to me by staff concerning the financial feasibility of this project. I felt what I saw did not meet the criteria that was in your purchase and development agreement. You had 5 conditions there. They were not met, what I saw, which was only presented a few weeks ago. Since then, I've gone back to staff and I asked if I could review the initial information that was to be given to you by November 1st. What I saw from that, what was given to me, which I was told was all what was given to the city, except some confidential information that was presented to the city with the understanding that it could be returned to the applicant, which made sense to me. However, what I did see certainly didn't meet the requirements of your purchase and development agreement. So both the initial material that was supposed to be given to you by November 1st, plus what was later submitted, at least in my judgment, reading over the 5 conditions that were in your purchase and development agreement, they were not met. So it seems to me that they've totally defaulted on one of the big criteria that you guys were concerned about when you wrote the purchase and development agreement, a detailed, convincing proof of financial feasibility. I don't think that's been given to the city. It certainly hasn't been heard by you, and I think you really need to look at the material before you make any further decision. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
My name is Sally Gillespie. I live at 610 North Peninsula. First, let me thank Mark Parnell and his attorney for meeting with me. And they did confirm at the meeting we had, Mark has been most cordial and gracious throughout this entire process. And he did confirm that he is now a 7% shareholder in CityNSB. 93% shares of stock have been transferred to Parkway Hospitality. And so that, I think, does raise an issue that has been discussed tonight about the city's liability for not pursuing its contracts in full good faith. There was nothing that I could find in reading the request for proposal that did not speak, nor indeed in anything in the purchase agreement that did not speak to the respondent who was chosen by this commission to fully fulfilling the obligations of that RFP. And so I would, and I reflected this actually at first reading, I'm really concerned, as the gentleman who just spoke mentioned, that there have been some questionable delays in the excuse me, in the financing procedure, that other respondents to your RFP could challenge. And I think to now recognize Parkway Hospitality as the managing member, the buyer, if you will, for CIMV LLC, is really a huge step if you should choose to take it. So from the standpoint of your liability, I would give serious concern to agreeing to pursue this. Secondly, I did employ my own attorney just so I could have some legal authority for the coalition that I represent. And that gentleman, who is a contract lawyer with 30 years experience in good standing before the bar, questioned whether the assignment agreement should not have been fulfilled before the shares of stock, 93% shares of stock, were transferred to Parkway Hospitality. He definitely felt that based on Section 19G of the purchase agreement, that the seller should have been approached, this commission should have been asked for the assignment of those shares.
Now,
And
let me just stop right here. The commission want to extend Sally's time.
Yes.
Go ahead.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. That really concludes my remarks. I just feel that we're on a slippery slope. My personal opinion, and this is not reflective of the coalition, but I think to make it clean on the part of the commission, this needs to terminate at this point and then perhaps go out for another RFP and let Parkway Hospitality LLC come back and be the applicant, since they are now, in fact, the buyer. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, ma'am.
Autumn, 702 Foxtail Court, New Smyrna. I have a unique look at New Smyrna because I grew up here and then went away for a career in the military, and was away for many years and came back just 8 years ago. But I would always come home during it, and I've seen all the change in New Smyrna, and I'd monitor how things have went. It's changed a lot since I was a kid, some for good, some for bad. We've had a lot of change recently. I know there's a backlash to change. The one thing I've noticed though, since I was gone, that there's been almost no boat storage built in the city. So it's one of the things that I actually didn't know Mr. Purnell until a couple of weeks ago. I heard about this project and went, well, surely that's going well. And I met him and said, well, how's that going? Well, there's a lot of opposition to it. I was surprised. I know there's a lot of building here. I know there's been some bad choices made in what we've allowed to be developed. But I can't see where I have places on 44 where they're killing every tree between 44 and Pioneer Trail, but a local businessman tries to do good, family-owned business, trying to build a marina that we desperately need, and now that is shot down, or trying to be. Once again, it's a marina in an area that's always been marinas. I remember when Fager's Seafood was still there, as many of you do. And now it's a marina at a place that there is already a marina being run by somebody who runs a marina, and we're having a problem approving that. I don't understand all the legal and financial things, but I'm saying if there needs to be an extension or whatever there needs to be, this man deserves a chance to at least pull this through, because at least not 5 condos filling up that area, which will happen if this falls through and somebody goes. It's the best idea I've seen for that empty lot, and I think it should be approved, or at least extended until he can figure out the rest of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Linda Mays, and I live at 836 Evergreen Street. I'm speaking tonight for the New Smyrna Beach Residents Coalition. The New Smyrna Beach Residents Coalition endorses your support of Turnbull Creek Watershed Preservation Lands Initiative. The coalition asks that this environmental preservation corridor be preserved in perpetuity as publicly owned lands. The coalition hopes that language disallowing future sale of these lands will be included in all pertinent documents leading to entitlement. Public ownership of the Turnbull Creek watershed area is vital. City ownership will be a contribution to our aquifer. It will also remain for all time as physical evidence of our city's singular 250-year-old funding. Additionally, the coalition believes that this model can be expanded going forward to include lands fronting on the lagoon. Only in public ownership can environmentally challenged land be truly protected. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jack Hope, 417 Quayasissy. I'm here as a resident that sat on the Economic Development Board in 2010. We looked at this as an opportunity, this marina idea. We did a study, we put it out to referendum. I really am troubled that we're going to have a $40 million project turned down by 3 commissioners when we voted. And I'd like to see the whole commission look at this, listen to it, listen to their amendment before we say we're done with it. We have a lot of needs in this town, and for us to forego this investment, and I understand that most of you have never done a $40 million project. I've sold 3 pieces of property. I've bought 2 and I've sold 1. I've signed 3 contracts as a 2 is the buyer, 1 is the seller. I have yet, going through your process, been able to fulfill a contract without extending the close dates, because it does drag on. Meeting with multiple community outreaches, different ideas for how you should build it, how you should landscape it, height restrictions. There's a lot that goes into it. Then you got to enter it into the money. And the money moves all over the place, and it's 93 or 7. But I'm going to sit here and tell you, if we did a study and we said there's a marina that should be there, whether Mark owns 7% or they own 93%, which the people are building a hotel over in Outback, we still get what we've always said we need, which is a marina. We're sitting here arguing things that really are irrelevant, because the end project is we get our marina. And again, like I said, I listen to these meetings, they come in, we have Magnolia problems, we have this problem, we need more police, we need this, we need stop signs, but we're gonna forego $40 million investment that's gonna roughly yield $1 million in ad valorem tax. It's gonna create jobs in our community. And just so that we all pat ourselves on the back and we've had great job growth, guess what's gone down in our community? Income. Income per employee has gone down. So I'm here to tell you, as I sit here, and I did vote to sell that property, and I did sit on a board and helped communicate to what would be a benefit to this community to bring this type of investment here. Now we're gonna split hairs over who owns what percentage. I can't sit here and wrap my hands around it, and then we're gonna kill it with 3 commissioners when 1 commissioner's never voted for any growth, not 1 job. If you think that's a fair shake for this guy right here, or anybody in this town, I'm just appalled by it. So that's where I stand. I appreciate everything you all do, but I really am disagreeing with this decision. So thanks.
You said. Dale Williams again, 1048 Clubhouse. I want to speak in support of the marina project. We have a heavy investment in the North Causeway. We've remodeled the old buildings that we had over there. We've have no financial investment in Mark's project. We've just watched it go through the process. We've watched the whole RFP process, multiple bidders. His plan was selected. We were happy that it was a local person that would be heading it up. And I want to say that every deal that we're involved in that is large in nature evolves over time. It's the nature of those size projects. We've never started at one point in these larger projects that we build, the great outdoors, other issues. They always evolve. The contract negotiations evolve over time. You're very close to the product that would be beneficial to the city of New Smyrna, be beneficial to Coronado Island and the North Causeway as a whole. I just want to say that if we can give him the additional time to put the project before a full commission, that I think that's the fair thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Lisa Martin, 618 South Pine. First, I'm confused why we've spent over half an hour on an item that's not on tonight's agenda, not up for a vote. And second of all, everybody's acting like this is a brand new thing, and it was just sort of like, oh, they're only asking for another day. This has been dragging on for years now. They haven't met financial commitments. The change in functional ownership is huge. And just like with the Ocean Breeze, when do we stick to what we've said? At what point do we say, we decided X, and we've read it all out now, but we've modified X a little bit, but no, this is the final one, because every time we give extensions, we see the same people back here over and over again. Just give me a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. I think it's time to say enough.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and leaders. My name is Rachel Allen. I'm a longtime resident of New Smyrna Beach and a lifetime resident of Volusia County. I'm a voter. I've been following this Coronado Island Marine Village project since the beginning. Some of the things that I would really like to point out to you all to take into consideration is the city has shown a big need for all of these elements, and that these have been proposed for over the last 10 years. We've needed hotel, dry storage, wet slips, restaurants, all of these things that have been backed by the studies and also paid for. So I'd like you to think about that. This brings a connection between the Canal Street and Flagler Avenues, giving all these merchants on both important roadways and a continued flow of beauty, as well as shopping, dining, boating, fine accommodations, keeping our economy going in a positive and upward direction. It's walking distance to the Brandon Center. I'd like to ask that our citizens be able to distinguish between beach traffic and traffic due to this development. This waterway between the current marina and the boat ramp is clogged currently with debris, plastics, garbage, dead marine life. It smells terrible. And this project will not only eliminate this problem, but will also improve it and make the water safer for our marine life and pleasant for the residents, visitors along the causeway. As residents on our waterway and this marine life that we all love and are passionate about in this area. It's unfair to possibly lose this fantastic opportunity due to timing or perhaps politics in our community. These plans have been redone 4 different times at the request of many. We've also, not to mention that we've gone through 2 major hurricanes during all of this, but this project has also been passed from the planning department already. With all respect, I'd like to ask that you acknowledge this importance in giving this project an extension so that the commission will all be present and able to vote fairly. Thank you for your time and consideration in a wonderful project that I am proud of living in this community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Rick Hawes. I'm with Chamber of Commerce 809 Silk Oak Court, and I wasn't prepared to speak tonight, but the heck, it's almost after 10, so why not? I wasn't quite ready to do this, but I thought I should give you some information that may be helpful, and I'm happy to follow up with this, so you'll forgive me for quoting some numbers late in the evening. I've been doing some work for the Chamber of Commerce trying to look at the city overall, its population growth over the last few years, the United States Census, also what's kind of going on demographically in Florida, as well as just sort of the growth. The main thing, and I think we kind of need to be aware of this, is with the change in tax law, the state and local tax deduction has gone away. And what that means to the Northeast states and some of those with higher taxes, we're going to continue to see this push down this way. Since 2007, Florida has gained roughly 850,000 residents from outside the states, meaning inward migration here. Texas, I think, is 1.4 million. That has meant something like 50 billion in income. So a lot of numbers, and I get all of that. But as we look at New Smyrna Beach, what has that meant here? Well, since 2010, our population grows on average about 2.5% per year. I think that falls pretty close to what the UC kind of expects the number to be. However, we are probably going to see a continued influx. So you start looking at projects like this, and we're probably just going to see more and more population come this way. So kind of shutting off the city, shutting off economic growth, and conflating that with traffic, as was just said, I think is kind of an issue. So I think as we start to look at this, and I'm happy to provide some of these statistics for you as well. I'll finish this off and give it to you. But trying to look a little bit into the forecast of the future. Jack had made a brief mention of median income, numbers below and numbers above. New Smyrna Beach actually last year, believe it or not, 2016 to 2017 went from 53,905 in median income in 2016 to 53,200 in 2017, which is very odd in an economic environment that we've seen. It's also far below Edgewater and what we've seen in Volusia County as a whole. So we have seen the growth, by the way, and over 65 population has gone up dramatically over the last 7 years as well. So there's something that's tying where we're at, and just kind of looking at the financial health of the city and where we're at, I think it pays heed to take a look at this demographics. I'm sorry for quoting all this information late at night, but I do think it plays into this project in kind of an odd way, at least from a financial standpoint. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Greg Holbrook, 1160 Corbin Park Road, Mayor Hathaway, members of the commission, city staff. I actually wanted to appear tonight to just quickly say thank you very much. I am currently the director of the New Smyrna Museum of History and was previously for 3 years the president of the Southeast Volusia Historical Society. And I wanted to extend a thank you to you for your final approval of item C on your ordinances tonight and your support of our 250th anniversary event that is coming up this Saturday in Old Fort Park, and we'll look forward to seeing some of you there. We've got an updated website at nsbis250.com that is available for the public to see the information on this event, and have a delegation of people coming from as far away as Spain to actually join us for this event. There's 8 of them that will be coming over and will be with us there that day. So I wanted to thank you for recognizing the rich history of this community, and also wanted to thank the city staff for the work that they did on the Turnbull Creek Watershed Project and what's been brought forward. I think from our organization and our museum standpoint, that's the type of long-range planning that we really like to see from the community, because it's looking to the future, much the way our predecessors of city government look to push growth west in this city to protect those older elements of the community so that they could be set aside. And I just wanted to extend that thanks to you this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Troy Sudnall, 119 Faulkner. I just want to talk on behalf of the Marina project. I've lived here, I was stationed here in the Coast Guard way back when, came back to this area when I retired. I have to say that listening to everything, maybe I'm going to be the last speaker, but listen to the last thing that came up there and all the rigmarole about everything. Really, I look at this project as an economic success. You're doing everything you need to do in the city. You want more wet slips, more dry slips. You need a place for people to go. Really, that tie between the Canal Street district and the Beach district, and the development along those roads there that road is going to happen on North Causeway. You see the empty vacant lots, you see the homes that have been demolished, and the for sale signs going up. You all have the foresight to see what might happen on North Causeway. Right across the street is the condos and everything is going in. So I just want to say, on the economic side of things, with the businesses that are going to go in there, the possible jobs that'll be there, in all aspects of the range of the income, I'm really for this project, and I really would like you to take a second look on it, and with all the commissioners present, and do a second vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Martin Danaher, 115 Lagoon Court, New Smyrna Beach. We've heard a lot of good comments tonight about this project. I will remind you that they are the same comments we heard a little over 2 years ago. If it were a marina project alone, I don't think you would hear too many negatives. If it were the kind of project that everything had come together, including the financial arrangements, etc., you would not be hearing too many objections. The points that are being made are a little bit irrelevant. The way the voting and the way the commission is structured relative to who's absent, who's present, these are not technicalities. These are part of the way you do business. Other things are not technicalities. The contract is the contract. It's been in existence for over 2 years. There has been extensions, and in addition to that, most of the items that were required to be done have not been done. As recently as the last meeting, the information that was supposed to be provided regarding the financing was not conclusive, nor, and I should remind you, Commissioner Riker, who's not here tonight, had a lot of criticism on it because it was her understanding that she did not see the guarantee that the good things that these folks are talking about, the marina project, would ever get built. This is a hotel project first and foremost, and hopefully the marina project would go along with it. I think someone else had pointed out the irregularities of what we're doing here. Now, they may be legal, I don't know. I would refer to the city attorney for that. However, there was ample opportunity for this presentation that you're talking about being made, ample opportunity on May 8th. They requested an extension. They came back 14 days later and did not have the information. They had an ample opportunity to put it on the agenda for tonight. And we would have had information that they were going to present, to look at it and decide if it made sense. So consequently, they've had 3 opportunities to produce that information, and all we know, as Ms. Gillespie pointed out, that there's been a change in ownership, which was not part of the original purchase and sale agreement. In summary, all the good things that we're talking about with this project could be there. But after over 2 years, there's no assurance whatsoever that they are. What we have is a hotel development company that wants to buy a piece of property for $5.1 million, which today, if we did a new appraisal, would probably, based on the trends in the market, be worth over $6 million. So consequently, you can make a very strong financial case that this contract is not going to be concluded, and that you should go out and RFP it again and try to get what the citizens deserve, which is the full value of the property. Thank you.
Travis Dever, 1212 Magnolia. Just to speak on that last comment, $6 million is astronomical and not reasonable. And I'm actually a professional in the industry, and I can tell you he's so far off base. I was going to speak actually on the value of this land. This value of this land that you had 2 appraisals. Let's go back way in history. You had one value, you had a second value. The second value was an encompassment of this project. Okay, and I want everybody to break that down. This site does not value it what you have right now, what this gentleman is willing to pay, without the other site and without the mixed use ability. This site is about 2 properties. You don't have a $5 million project of site and a $40 million project without this other property. So you may not want to think it's some type of partnership. I know it's not a partner with the city, but these sites go together. This all works when they're both together. The value is there when they're both together. You don't have that without this. No hotel will pay you $5 million for this site. It can't function. No marina will pay you $5 million for this site. It can't function. It needs both sites, multi-use, multi-projects, lots of revenue to make this work and to give the city the boardwalk they need, everything else we've asked for. It doesn't work with one site. You will never get $5 or $6 million for this site alone. Just mark my words, you won't get it. Your appraisal is based on the 2 coming together. Okay? So you got to make sure we understand we need these 2 sites to work together in order to get full value. They've come a long way. I've yet to close a commercial contract on time. It's impossible. And unfortunately, it's because of the process we have to go through to get to this. And that's in the normal private market, let alone going through our city commission to get the groups together and the citizen groups and get everything figured out that what we want is, when we get the end product, is what we want. Okay? They have done everything that's been asked of them. You have a great partner right now with these guys. They are a multi-$100 million company that is so liquid, it's scary, and they're willing to invest again in this town. This is a great partner to have. They have the means to do this project, and you have somebody that spent 2 years and a lot of time and money that's a local here trying to develop a great end product for what we will get as citizens of New Smyrna. It's the perfect project for the site. You will never get it again without the 2 sites coming together. So I just make sure everybody remembers that. It won't happen without the 2 sites.
Randy Herman, 108 Esther. Just one comment is that at the last meeting, you selected an expert to talk about the validity of the funding source, and he came and talked, and one of the things he said was, after being questioned several times, that the funding was really about hotel. It really was about hotel. And so I think that is of concern, because that is not the direction that the original RFP was about. It was about a marina. The second thing that is concerning to me is, with this amendment change, the ability to sell off parcels. So, you know, we were concerned about, and we were glad to have a local person be in charge of this project. And now that person isn't in charge. We have information that the funding is really about a hotel. And as the previous speaker said, well, it's about these two parcels being viable. Well, is it viable so then they can then sell off portions of that? And what do we end up with very little oversight or control? Because this is city property. This is not a private parcel. And this is about us as a city. So it really concerns me about that. You had this expert come in and testify, gave that information. I think it's very important to consider, because it sounds like today the issue really is, you know, do you give an extension, or does the contract end on Friday? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Michael Gallotti, 105 Via Capri. The project that's proposed is different quite a bit from what was originally proposed. Yes, the first project did have a marina. It did have a gas station, had convenience stores, had any number of little retail attachments. And yes, there was a possibility for a hotel. So I have no problem that we followed through on that. I also have no problem with a short extension for the financing. What I do have a problem with is we've changed the focus. It's a hotel project now. It could be built separate, and for a nice local person can't afford to do the other part of it, it might not even happen. Site plan approval that was passed by the planning board, I believe, was lacking in parking. So when you put up your hotel, you might find out when you get down to the end that all the other uses don't have enough parking, and you'll be kind of hamstrung on that. I would like to also remind the board that what is proposed is a 5-story hotel, and other than the Best Western, there isn't anything like that. And over the last 6 or 7 years, we've constantly been discussing the hotel issue. They've all wanted them taller, and they've all lowered them to that height. So I would not like to see the MDA revised to provide that additional height for the hotel. Other than that, I would like to see the project go through on a smaller scale and be done with this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Celeste Lester. I live at 410 Quay New Smyrna Beach. You know, I really like the North Causeway. It's really beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful pieces of property that the city owns. You know, when all this comes in, they say we're going to be able to see some, but we're really not going to be able to see that much. My concern is, one, he doesn't have control. It has been sold to a hotel chain. That's a concern. I'm concerned that the hotel is the one that's going to be built. We're not going to have the marina. We're not going to have the boardwalk. We're not going to have the 8,000 square foot restaurant. We're not going to have the capability of, on Thursday night or whatever, artists being out there painting and us taking a stroll down the boardwalk. We've got and a lot of people talk about the storage. We don't have storage facilities. Sure we do. We have the Outrigger, there's a storage facility there. We have your Pacific building, there's a storage facility there. That's only 2, but now you're going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be about 5 with everybody that's already here in his existing facility. He wants to put three storage facilities. He's got one, he wants to put 2 in. Then we've got the one here, so that's one, okay, that's 4. So we're just kind of over, I don't know, developing that area. And it's so beautiful. I just hate to see that come in because this is a pretty town. The charm is wonderful. The art community is wonderful. The restaurants are wonderful for a small town. And I really just hate to see that happen. And has nothing to do with him personally at all. It's just the development, I think, is just too big for the area. I've stood up here and asked y'all time and time and time and time again for a scale model. You won't ask the developers for a scale model. I've asked it to be laid out on that property to say exactly what is going to be and how it's going to look. A lot of developers, my father was a developer. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. We developed lots and lots and lots and lots. We always had to have a scale model. I don't understand why a town this size would not, in a project this big, that you would not ask them for that. That's not asking for a lot. If they've got the money to build the facility, they've got the money to do a scale model. And if they have to change the scale model 10 times, they've got enough money to change the scale model for 10 times. So I just don't think you realize what that's going to look like on that property. You can have a sketch from an architect, but when you actually see the conform of those buildings on there to see what it's like. And the other thing is, we have waited a long time. He hasn't fulfilled his contract. He hasn't delivered what he said he was going to deliver. And Judy Riker even asked for 3 things. Do we have them? No. Thank you so much for letting me have my 3 minutes. I really appreciate all of your time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, is everybody finished now? I don't want to shut anybody off, but we're getting close to the end of our meeting time. So, Mr. Ferguson, what do you have, a final comment?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. I wanted to just point out something, 2 things actually. The 93-7 split is nothing final now. Obviously, it wasn't anything a secret. It was something that was told to Ms. Gillespie. And we're at a disadvantage. If Mark Watts was able to be in the country, he would have the presentation. He'd be able to explain to you that. Another thing, ownership and management is not the same. You can have ownership slips and management completely different. Once again, issues that can be explained to you so you guys can make an informed decision. All 5 up there can make an informed decision on what's the best interest of the city. And so all we're asking is for a motion to adopt the second amendment to extend to July 1st. And that's where we are.
Okay, I'll ask the commission one more time for why we have to extend. Does any member of the commission wish to raise a motion to extend this project to the next city commission? All right, that's your answer. I need a motion to extend for 15 minutes. You made a second. Lieutenant Alden.
Vice Mayor McGurk.
Yes.
Commissioner Hartman.
Yes.
Commissioner Sacks.
We're extending 15 minutes.
Yes. Mayor Hathaway.
Yes. And now we have till 10:45.